Hello everyone and welcome to the weekly Wallow Review Show. We had a nice winner on Wednesday at Warwick Farms, Screen Park.
Yeah, he was a very impressive winner. He was kept out wide by Brenton Abdullah, covered a lot of extra ground but still managed to get the win with relative ease. So no, he's a very promising 3-year-old with a bright future.
And 3 winners on Saturday at Rose Hill, Sparky Lad, Noir and Invincible.
Yeah, Invincible putting 2 in a row, which is obviously great for the connections. They had a big team there on Saturday and they were over the moon with his win. Noir again shoots 2 in a row as well. That was impressive, stepping up from 1100 to 1400 metres and one with a little bit in hand at the line. So positive reports of him, and then Sparky Lad, we saw Josh Parr give him a beautiful ride, which saw him land in the winners circle. So good to get three city winners on a Saturday, and yeah, the team's going well.
And we'll start off with Randwick on Saturday. We have some nice runners there. First race calculated. He's first up after a break.
Yeah, he's obviously 1100 metres is a long way short of his best, but we just want him to switch off and do things right and find a rhythm. So from barrier 4, hopefully it means we don't have to ride him stone cold, but we can just be conservative from the barrier and get him to do things right before stepping out over slightly further later on in the campaign.
In the Christmas Cup, over 2400 metres, we have Vassal. Kieran McAvoy's riding him from barrier 4. Yeah,
53 kilos. Obviously, he hasn't been carrying that for a little while, so he takes his chance in a listed race. It's exciting to see him in only a small field of 7 runners. He's slightly disadvantaged by only. He's slightly disadvantaged in that the weight systems isn't a full scale, so he should actually be entitled to carry a little bit less, but no, he's certainly a chance should the track remain good.
And we have the 2 mares running over 1200 metres in Times of War and O'Rachel's fresh up.
Yeah, in Times of War, well, she's always there or thereabouts. She runs a good honest race each and every time. A good barrier is certainly an advantage. She can just camp just in behind the speed and get a lovely run in transit. Ty knows her well now. Rachel, her 2 trials, well, her first trial was probably marginally better than her second trial, but she's certainly fit and ready for the 1200 metres, and she'll be a chance.
We have the 6 runners in the right to drive handicap over a mile. Firstly, Chatlard. He's first up with Lee McGorrin in the saddle.
Yeah, he's first up over the mile. He should be fit enough. He tries really hard in his gallops, so that obviously makes our job much easier in getting them fit and ready for a mile on their first time of asking. And another good reason to claim as well, when you've got an apprentice who's taking 3 kilos off and is riding every bit as good as some of the seniors. It should be able to give him a lovely economical run first up, and therefore give him a chance.
Zabek, he'll be ridden by Josh Parr from barrier 9.
Yeah, second up. He's probably still looking for slightly further than the mile, but his barrier manners have improved this preparation. Barrier makes it a little bit tricky, but no, he's going well.
Zorkan, he's also first up. He'll be ridden by Ty England, barrier 4.
Yeah, Ty was wrapped with his most recent trial, where he was an impressive winner and called for the ride. So he takes the mount there and he gets a nice barrier. The mile's the right sort of distance to kick off over, but again, he might be looking for slightly further.
Cosmic Engine, he's had 1 win this prep. He's ridden by Glenn.
Yeah, he's also drawn a soft barrier, which obviously makes life much easier for him. There's a little bit of rain forecast on Friday and Saturday, so if that arrived and just got a little bit of more give in that Randwick track, then it would put him right in the mix.
Vaucluse Bay, Ben Mellon, barrier 6.
Yeah, he's a horse who is capable of winning over the mile distance, but realistically 3rd up over 1800 or 2000, which is when we will see him at his very best.
And lastly, High Mist. Jay Ford's riding him from barrier 3 with 55.5 kilos.
He's also in up in Doomben, where he's drawn barrier 8. As we've got a pretty strong hand in this mile race here, and he's got an okay barrier in both places. I'd imagine we'll be leaning towards sending him up to Doomben, which so he'll travel up there tonight. There's plenty of speed on in those Queensland races, which would suit him. He'll be ridden quiet from the barrier and get home very strongly.
In the Villiers, over the mile, we have Mr. Seawolf. He ran very well first up for the stable last start.
Yeah, ran an absolute cracking race first up. He's come on for it. Kieran was out here at Rose Hill on Tuesday morning and galloped him on the course proper, and came back with a very positive report that he's a real trier and a very genuine horse. So he's certainly got every chance on Saturday to take out a Group 2 on only his second Australian start.
And Japanisme over the 1200 metres. He was obviously scratched last start, but he's had a trial since.
Yeah, he trialled well since. The barrier makes things a little bit awkward in barrier 10, and 1200 metres we think is a little bit sharp for him later on in his career. So there's a 1400 metre race next Saturday, and we might well wait and send him there instead.
And race 9, we have Pioneering. She's drawn barrier 2 and Ty England's riding her.
Yeah, 1400 metres is more up her alley, second up. She gets a soft barrier, should be able to get a nice run in transit. She'll appreciate a good strong rider in Ty England. As she's just a little bit casual and laid back in her work at home, so I'm sure Ty can get the best out of her on Saturday.
And then we move to Doomben. We've got High Mist, who you've touched on. It'll be ridden by Michael Cahill.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if should we go there, obviously the distance is right, and there looks to be good speed in the race, and there's no reason why he can't bounce back to form. That's exactly what he's been waiting for.
Over the 2000 metres, we've got Richard of York.
Second up, barrier 10, and he's he should be entitled to carry a lot less weight than the 54 kilos. So running out of his grade isn't something that Chris is very fond of. Obviously, if he was to win here, he's basically winning under set weights conditions with only one runner not carrying the 54 kilo minimum. So there's another race which he could run in next Saturday, but then again he'd be lumbered with a big weight of 60 or 61 kilos next Saturday. So we'll have to look at the form of the race and work out exactly where we head with him.
And lastly at Doomben, we've got Torgerson. He's been running very well. He's running 13:50 on Saturday.
Yep, he is. We've spaced out his runs. Obviously 1350 metres does appear to be a little bit short of his best, but it was a good run last start over the distance. So it's a shame to see him draw awkwardly in a wide barrier. But his work at home's been very good, and he actually had an exhibition gallop at the Gold Coast on Saturday, and his jockey gave him a glowing report.
And Colosimo is running over 1200 metres. He's been running very well too.
Yeah, she's also 3 weeks between runs. She's dropping back in distance, but she should be sharp and fresh from the drop back in trip. She gets a good barrier. She should get the run of the race and be great to throw and get us some black type.
And then we'll go back to Friday night. We'll start off at Canterbury. We've got a few runners. The second race, 1550 metres. We've got High Ground, Seaway and Savakul. 3 very nice horses in this race. Yeah,
so High Ground, obviously the big weight of 59.5 kilos for a horse who's only won one race does make things hard against some progressive horses that we have in this race. So we might wait until next Wednesday, where he can run in a 3-year-old race over 1900 metres at Canterbury. Seaway obviously stepping up to the 1550 metres, blinkers come off, should just help him to switch off and relax over the extended journey. He's certainly a live chance. The barrier's a little bit sticky, but only a small field, so it shouldn't hinder him too much. And Savakul, well, you know, she won her debut run, and her next start was equally as good up in grade. So she's certainly a very live chance.
In race 3, over 1200 metres, we've got the 4 runners: Jolly Honour, Ombudsman, Press Review, and Tory Joy. Jolly Honour.
Jolly Honour. Obviously, this is just a sort of starting point. First day at school. Both trials, this preparation have been good. The distance is right. Good barrier obviously helps, provided she can jump and settle and travel in the mid stages. She should be able to run in the top 3. But obviously it's a big learning curve for her.
Ombudsman.
Ombudsman. He returns a gelding. He's been a little bit more tractable since returning as a gelding, so it's been certainly a positive change in his life. He gets a soft barrier. His trials have been good, and he's a very good chance.
Press Review, J Ford, barrier 5.
Again, for Press Review and Tory Joy, they can both run on their nerves a little bit, so it's important that we utilise the barriers and get them to switch off and relax and find cover. It should enable them both to not have to race wide or be disadvantaged by poor barriers. So they've both got two senior jockeys on who should give them the very best chance on Friday night.
Then we move to the 1100 metre sprint race. We've got Planet Princess. She's fresh up. She wasn't out of the money last prep.
No, she wasn't. She's a good horse with a very bright future. Obviously, barrier 2 makes things a lot easier, as well as the 53.5 kilo weight. Looks a interesting race and quite a tricky race. But first up over the 1100, it should suit. She's quite a big horse, so Canterbury might be a little bit sharp for her, but the barrier certainly helps.
We move to race 5, over 1900 metres. 2 runners, His Kalachi and Mo Queen. His Kalachi will be ridden by Tim Clark from barrier 10.
Yeah, barrier does make things slightly tricky around Canterbury, but 1900 metres is a big plus. Stepping up from the mile first up, it should really bring him into it. He's fit now, and he's ready to certainly run into the placings.
And Mo Queen, she's drawn a little bit better from barrier 3 with Glenn Schofield in the saddle.
Yeah, it's good to see her draw a good barrier. Should mean that she should be able to settle a pair or 2 closer. She does like to be ridden conservatively, so we won't be forcing the issue too much, but provided she can settle a couple of pairs closer and they don't go too hard like they did at Wyong for her, then she can certainly run home strongly.
1250 metre race, race number 6. We've got Aquatic.
Yeah, he's trialled twice since his first up run. Both trials have been okay. He gets a soft barrier. I think the distance is right. Ty England obviously is riding in a rich vein of form at present, and it should enable him to put him into a nice position. He's a very fit horse, and the tracks. Should the track stay in the good range like it is now, then it will certainly give him every chance.
And the Schweppes Evening Star, 1550 metres. We have 2 runners in this: Irish Optimism, Kieran McAvoy, barrier 12.
Yeah, for him it's a bit of a starting point. So over this distance, as well as the wide barrier, we'll just go back and ride him conservatively and allow him to really find the line. He'll be best second and third up into the campaign.
And Mudarakim, J Ford, barrier 9. He's only got 53 kilos.
Yeah, again 53 kilos is an advantage. The distance is right. He's switching off much better this preparation, which is certainly giving him every chance in these races. And it's these feature races for these older horses on the Friday night. I mean, it's amazing that they're worth $80,000. So he's the right type of horse to be winning these sorts of events, and he goes there in very good form.
And also on Friday night we're racing at Moonee Valley. We've just got the 1 runner, So Splendid. Yeah, she drops back to the mile. She's drawn a good alley. Her work yesterday morning down at Flemington was very good. She's certainly a chance. She's been knocking on the door and she's racing consistently, so should be in for another good weekend. Very good. Have a good weekend, everybody.